The Discovery Protocol, the morning sun cast long shadows across the Earth Defense Command Center in Geneva when the impossible happened. Commander Zara Mitchell was reviewing routine patrol reports when every communication array on the planet suddenly activated at once. The massive screens around the command center flickered to life, displaying a symbol none of them had ever seen before. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission," reported Lieutenant Torres from the communication station. "It's coming from outside our solar system, but the signal is incredibly clear, almost like they're broadcasting from just beyond our moon." Zara stood up, her years of military training keeping her calm despite the racing of her heart. Humanity had been searching for extraterrestrial intelligence for over a century, and now it seemed intelligence had found them first. "Put it through," she ordered. The screens shifted, and suddenly they were looking at a being that was clearly not human. The creature stood nearly 8 feet tall, with silver-blue skin that seemed to shimmer in the light. Its eyes were large and golden, and when it spoke, the words came through in perfect English. "People of Earth," the being began, its voice resonating with authority. "I am Ambassador Kethavar of the Zephyrian Empire. We have been observing your species for 47 of your years. The time has come for formal contact." Dr. Alex Reeves, the quantum physicist who served as Earth's theoretical first contact specialist, stepped forward. He had spent years preparing for this moment, but nothing could have prepared him for the reality of it. "This is Dr. Alex Reeves, representing Earth's scientific community. We welcome this contact, Ambassador Kethavar. May I ask why you've chosen to reveal yourselves now?" The alien's expression grew somber. "Because your species stands at a crossroads, Dr. Reeves. Our analysis indicates that within the next 50 years, humanity will develop technologies that could pose a threat to the established order of this galaxy. We are here to offer you a choice." Captain Jin Sato, Earth's chief military strategist, felt a chill run down her spine. She had always suspected that first contact might not be the peaceful meeting of minds that scientists hoped for. "What kind of choice?" Commander Mitchell asked, stepping forward. "Submit to Imperial guidance now while you are still manageable," Kethavar replied. "Accept our oversight of your technological development, and humanity will be granted a place within the Empire as a protected species. Refuse, and we will be forced to take more direct action to prevent the chaos your uncontrolled advancement would cause." The command center fell silent. Dr. Reeves was the first to speak. "Ambassador, I'm curious about your methodology. How exactly have you determined that human advancement poses a threat? Our space program is barely capable of reaching Mars." "Your space program is irrelevant," Kethavar replied. "What concerns us is your pattern of problem-solving. In our studies of over 3,000 intelligent species, humans display a unique and dangerous trait. You do not simply work within the boundaries of physical law. You find ways to circumvent, manipulate, or rewrite those boundaries entirely." Commander Mitchell frowned. "Are you talking about scientific innovation? Every intelligent species must innovate to survive." "Not like humans," the ambassador insisted. "Other species innovate by understanding and applying natural laws. Humans innovate by refusing to accept that certain things are impossible. Your history is filled with breakthroughs that should not have been achievable with your level of technology or understanding." Captain Sato spoke up. "Can you give us an example?" The screen behind Kethavar changed, showing historical footage of human achievements. Your development of powered flight, achieved before you fully understood aerodynamics. Your creation of computers using principles you discovered through intuition, rather than complete theoretical understanding. Your leap from basic rockets to moon landing in just 60 years. Despite lacking the mathematical models that should have made such rapid progress impossible, Dr. Reeves watched the display with growing fascination. "You're suggesting that human innovation is somehow fundamentally different from that of other species?" "Not suggesting, Doctor. Stating. Our xenobiologists have a term for your species. Paradox builders. You consistently achieve results that our models predict should be impossible given your starting conditions." The transmission suddenly flickered, and static filled the screens. When the image cleared, they were looking at a different alien entirely. This one appeared more military in bearing, with darker skin and scarred features. Ambassador Kethvar speaks of choices, the new alien said, his voice harsh. I am General Threx and I speak of necessities. Humanity has 13 hours to respond to our ultimatum. If you refuse our guidance, the Imperial fleet will eliminate Earth's technological infrastructure and relocate your population to suitable worlds under our control. General, Commander Mitchell said, her voice steady despite the threat. You're talking about the forced relocation of 8 billion people. That's genocide on an unimaginable scale. It is prevention, Threx replied coldly. Your species' unchecked development will eventually destabilize the galactic community. We have maintained peace for 10,000 years by preventing such chaos before it begins. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the command center in stunned silence. Dr. Reeves was the first to speak. They're afraid of us. Not our weapons or our military might, but our ability to find solutions they can't predict. Captain Sato nodded grimly. Which means they're probably right about our potential. But it also means we might be able to surprise them. Commander Mitchell activated the emergency protocols. I'm calling an emergency session of the Global Defense Council. We have 13 hours to figure out how to defend our planet against an empire that's been spacefaring for millennia. As alarms began sounding across the facility, Dr. Reeves continued studying the data from the transmission. Something about the Zephyrian's technology seemed familiar, as if he'd seen similar energy patterns in his quantum research. Commander, he called out, I need to run some calculations. I think there might be more to this situation than they're telling us. 6 hours later, as Earth's defenses scrambled to prepare for an impossible battle, something unexpected happened. Every radio telescope, every satellite dish, every communication device on Earth suddenly activated simultaneously. But this time, the signal wasn't coming from the approaching Zephyrian fleet. The voice that spoke was unlike anything they had heard before. It seemed to come from everywhere at once, resonating not just through their equipment, but somehow directly into their minds. Children of Earth, children of Zephyr, the ancient protocols have been activated. Commander Mitchell, who had been coordinating with defense installations around the globe, stopped mid-sentence. Who is this? Identify yourself. I am the memory keeper, guardian of the eternal archive. I have watched civilizations rise and fall for 50 million years. The pattern recognition algorithms have detected a critical convergence event. Both species must listen. On screens around the world, an image appeared. It showed a vast structure floating in deep space, ancient beyond measure, covered in symbols that seemed to shift and change as they watched. The Zephyrian Empire believes they understand the threat posed by humanity. They do not. Humanity believes they face extinction from a superior force. They do not. Both species stand at the threshold of something far more significant. General Threx's voice cut through the transmission. Ancient One, we do not require your interference. This is a matter of galactic security. General Threx's voice cut through the transmission. Ancient One, we do not require your interference. This is a matter of galactic security. Galactic security is precisely why I intervene, General. Your actions will trigger events that neither species is prepared for. The humans you fear are not the threat you believe them to be. They are the solution to a problem that is about to emerge. Dr. Reeves felt his heart racing. What kind of problem? The silence breakers are awakening. The screens shifted, showing star maps of the galaxy. Across vast distances, points of light were beginning to pulse with an ominous red glow. Every advanced civilization eventually reaches a point where they must choose between transcendence and domination. Most choose transcendence, leaving behind their physical forms and withdrawing from galactic affairs. But some choose differently. They become silence breakers, consuming other civilizations to fuel their continued expansion. Ambassador Kethvar's voice was barely a whisper. The legends. You're talking about the legends of the Void Devourers. Not legends. Reality. 3 silence breaker civilizations have been dormant for millennia, waiting for the galaxy to rebuild after their last feeding cycle. The rapid technological advancement of multiple species, particularly humanity's paradoxical breakthroughs, has created enough quantum disruption to wake them. Commander Mitchell felt the weight of cosmic responsibility settling on her shoulders. Are you saying that our technological development has somehow triggered the awakening of these void devourers? Precisely. But more importantly, humanity's unique problem-solving abilities may be the key to stopping them. The Zephyrian Empire's traditional approach of control and regulation will not work against beings who reshape reality itself. Only paradox builders have the flexibility of thought necessary to find solutions to impossible problems. The transmission from the memory keeper began to fade. Both species must choose quickly. United, you may find a way to preserve galactic civilization. Divided, you will all become food for entities that consume entire star systems. As the ancient voice disappeared, Commander Mitchell and Ambassador Kethavar found themselves staring at each other across the vastness of space. No longer enemies, but reluctant allies facing an unimaginable threat. 13 hours suddenly seems like a very short time, Dr. Reeves murmured, watching as the red lights on the star map began to pulse more rapidly. Indeed, Kethavar replied. Perhaps it is time for both our species to learn what it truly means to be paradox builders. The paradox unveiled. The emergency council chamber aboard the Zephyrian flagship Celestial Harmony had never hosted humans before. Commander Mitchell stood beside Dr. Reeves and Captain Sato, surrounded by beings whose technology could reduce Earth to cosmic dust within hours. Yet the atmosphere was not one of conquest, but of desperate cooperation. The closest silence breaker construct is moving toward the Kepler sector, reported Zephyrian Science Administrator Vexhai, her multiple eyes tracking holographic displays that showed the galaxy in real time. At their current rate of acceleration, they will reach inhabited systems within 6 months. General Threx, who 12 hours earlier had been preparing to destroy Earth, now studied human military doctrine. With the intensity of a scholar, your defensive strategies are unusual, he admitted. Most species focus on building stronger shields or more powerful weapons. Humans seem to focus on making the rules of engagement irrelevant. Captain Sato nodded. We call it asymmetric warfare. When you can't match your enemy's strength, you change the nature of the fight itself. Which is exactly what we need. Ambassador Kethavar interjected. The silence breakers cannot be defeated through conventional means. They consume energy, matter, even the fundamental forces that hold reality together. Traditional weapons only feed them. Dr. Reeves had been quietly studying the data streams from the Memory Keeper's archive. I think I'm beginning to understand what the Memory Keeper meant about humans being paradox builders. Look at this. The holographic display shifted to show human technological development over the past century. Every major breakthrough we've made has involved finding ways around fundamental limitations. We couldn't build materials strong enough for space elevators, so we developed carbon nanotubes that shouldn't exist according to the models available when we started. We couldn't solve the energy requirements for interstellar communication, so we discovered quantum entanglement applications that bypass the need for traditional energy transfer. Administrator Vexahai's multiple eyes focused on the display with growing excitement. Your species doesn't just solve problems within existing frameworks. You create new frameworks entirely. Exactly, Dr. Reeves continued. And I think that's why the silence breakers are vulnerable to human thinking. They're ancient, which means they're set in their ways. They probably have billions of years of experience with species that follow predictable patterns of development and resistance. The Memory Keeper's voice suddenly filled the chamber again. Dr. Reeves understands correctly. The silence breakers have consumed over 40,000 civilizations. In every case, the resistance followed logical patterns. Build stronger defenses, develop more powerful weapons, unite more species against the threat. All futile. Commander. Mitchell stepped forward. But humans don't follow logical patterns. No, Commander. Humans follow what can only be called paradoxical patterns. You solve problems by redefining what the problems actually are. This cognitive flexibility is unprecedented in our records. General Threx looked skeptical. With respect to the ancient, 1. Cognitive flexibility cannot stop beings who devour star systems. Perhaps not directly, the memory keeper replied. But observe. The display changed to show the approaching silence breaker construct in detail. It was enormous, easily the size of a large moon, its surface covered in what appeared to be mechanical growths that pulsed with dark energy. Traditional analysis suggests this construct is impenetrable, the memory keeper continued. Its hull absorbs all forms of energy directed at it. Its shields adapt to counter any weapon used against it. Its offensive capabilities can disintegrate planets. Dr. Reeves studied the readings, his mind racing. But it's still bound by physical laws, right? It has to be, or it couldn't interact with our universe at all. Correct. But what physical laws? The question hung in the air for a long moment before Dr. Reeves's eyes widened. Oh, that's brilliant. It's not bound by our understanding of physical laws. It's bound by its own understanding. Captain Sato frowned. I'm not following. The silence breakers are ancient, remember? Their understanding of physics was established millions of years ago, but human physics keeps evolving. We keep discovering new principles, new exceptions to rules we thought were absolute. Administrator Vexhi's excitement was palpable. You're suggesting that humans might know about physical principles that the silence breakers don't? Not just know about them, Dr. Reeves said, his voice growing more confident. We might be able to discover new ones right here, right now, under pressure. That's what humans do. We don't just use existing knowledge. We create new knowledge when we need it. The memory keeper's approval resonated through the chamber. This is why humanity was flagged as a critical species. Not because you are dangerous, but because you are necessary. The galaxy needs beings who can think outside frameworks that have remained unchanged for eons. Suddenly, alarms began sounding throughout the ship. Contact with the silence breaker. Construct, reported a Zephyrian officer. It has altered course and is heading directly for this location. General Threx's expression was grim. How is that possible? We're still light years from their previous position. They can sense the quantum fluctuations created by human problem-solving, the memory keeper explained. Your species' cognitive processes actually create measurable disturbances in the fabric of space-time. The silence breakers are moving to eliminate this anomaly before it can fully develop. Commander Mitchell felt the familiar weight of command. Decisions. How long do we have? At their current speed, approximately 18 hours. Dr. Reeves was already moving toward the Zephyrian computer systems. Then we need to accelerate the process. I need access to all available data on quantum field theory, dimensional mechanics, and exotic matter properties. Captain, Sato said carefully, what exactly are you planning? I'm not sure yet, he admitted. But I know we can't fight this thing the way anyone expects us to. We need to find a solution that doesn't exist yet. The next several hours passed in a blur of intense collaboration, human intuition combined with Zephyrian computational power, and the memory keeper's vast database of galactic physics created an environment unlike anything the universe had seen before. Dr. Reeves worked alongside Zephyrian scientists, their different cognitive approaches creating unexpected synergies. Where the Zephyrians provided methodical analysis and vast processing power, the humans provided intuitive leaps and willingness to accept impossible solutions. The energy absorption capability appears to be based on dimensional folding, reported Dr. Chen, a human physicist who had been transported up from Earth. But the folding pattern assumes that energy can only exist in certain specific states. What if we hit it with energy that exists in a state they've never encountered? Suggested. Dr. Reeves' Administrator Vexhi's calculations were rapid and precise. Creating novel energy states would require manipulating fundamental constants at the quantum level. The energy requirements alone would exceed the output of most stars. But what if we don't create the energy states? Dr. Chen asked suddenly. What if we convince the universe that they already exist? The Zephyrians looked confused, but Dr. Reeves was nodding rapidly. Quantum observation effects. If we can create a measurement paradox where the universe has to choose between different versions of reality, the universe would choose the version that resolves the paradox, Dr. Chen finished. And if we structure the paradox correctly, the resolution would include energy states that bypass the silence breaker's absorption mechanisms. General Threx looked between the human scientists with growing amazement. You're talking about convincing reality itself to cooperate with your attack strategy. Why not? Commander Mitchell asked with a slight smile. If you're going to think outside the box, you might as well think outside the universe. The Memory Keeper's voice carried what could only be described as ancient amusement. And this is precisely why humanity was necessary. Any other species would consider such an approach impossible. Humans consider it Tuesday, with only hours remaining before the silence breaker's arrival. The combined human-Zephyrian team completed their impossible device. It looked nothing like conventional weaponry. Instead, it resembled a complex sculpture of crystalline structures and quantum field generators, designed to create measurement paradoxes on a cosmic scale. Are you certain this will work? Ambassador Keithvar asked as the final preparations were completed. Dr. Reeves shrugged. Absolutely not. But that's the point. If we were certain, it would be a conventional solution, and conventional solutions don't work against silence breakers. The silence breaker construct dropped out of hyperspace directly in front of the combined human-Zephyrian fleet. Up close, it was even more terrifying than the displays had suggested. Dark energy writhed across its surface like living shadow, and its very presence seemed to make reality flicker at the edges. Firing conventional weapons to establish baseline response, General Threx announced. The Zephyrian fleet's most powerful weapons struck the construct and were absorbed without any visible effect. In response, the silence breaker fired a single pulse that vaporized 3 Zephyrian cruisers. Beginning paradox cascade, Dr. Reeves announced, his hands moving over controls that were part human technology, part Zephyrian engineering, and part something entirely new. The device activated, and suddenly space around the silence breaker construct began to behave strangely. Light moved in curved paths, gravity fluctuated wildly, and the quantum foam that underlies reality became visible as shifting patterns of probability. The construct is attempting to adapt, Administrator Vexahai reported. But it cannot lock onto our energy signatures. They keep changing into states that shouldn't exist. The silence breaker's attacks became increasingly frantic and unfocused. It was clearly designed to counter known forms of physics, but human physics included principles like uncertainty, paradox, and the willingness to accept contradictory truths simultaneously. It's working, Captain Sato said with amazement. The thing doesn't know how to respond to an attack that changes the rules while it's happening. The final phase involved something that would have been impossible without human thinking. Dr. Reeves and his team had created a weapon that convinced the universe that the silence breaker construct existed in 2 contradictory states simultaneously, one where it was invulnerable to all attacks, and one where it had already been destroyed. The universe, faced with this paradox, chose the resolution that required the least energy expenditure. The silence breaker construct simply ceased to exist, not destroyed but edited out of reality as if it had never been there. Incredible, the Memory Keeper said as the readings confirmed the impossible victory. In 50 million years of observation, I have never seen a problem solved by making the universe choose a different version of history. Commander Mitchell smiled as she watched the impossible readings on her displays. Welcome to humanity, Memory Keeper. We specialize in making the impossible look routine. Ambassador Keithvar approached the human delegation with something approaching reverence. Our empire has maintained order for 10,000 years through strength and control. Perhaps it is time we learned about maintaining peace through creativity and cooperation. As the combined fleet began planning their approach to the remaining silence breaker constructs, Dr. Reeves reflected on how much had changed in just 24 hours. Humanity had gone from facing extinction to becoming the galaxy's most valued problem solvers. So what do we do next? Captain Sato asked. We do what humans do best, Commander Mitchell replied. We find solutions to problems that everyone else thinks are impossible, and apparently the galaxy has a lot of impossible problems that need solving. The Memory Keeper's voice carried a note of anticipation. Indeed. And for the first time, In 50 million years, I am curious to see what happens next. As the fleet prepared to jump to hyperspace, heading toward the next impossible challenge, humanity took its first steps toward becoming the galaxy's professional miracle workers. The universe, it seemed, had been waiting for a species that refused to accept that anything was truly impossible. And in the depths of space, ancient constructs that had slumbered for eons began to stir, not with hunger, but with something that might have been hope. The paradox builders had arrived and everything was about to change.